And here we have on the right, Ricky Sidher playing Esper Stoneblade. Very lingering here, only 3 lingering souls as opposed to the 4 that we saw at Grand Prix Indianapolis with Tom Martell. On the left, looks like we have Punishing Maverick. So this has actually become kind of a classic matchup. Maverick variant versus the Stoneblade matchup. Ricky Sidher is known by many people, known to many people by his Magic online name of Sip It Hala.
Is he the one who sips or ships?
He's the sipper, not the shipper.
Michael Hetrick ships. Alright, so starting off here, Brad plays a Savannah. He cracks a fetch land into a Savannah into a Noble Hierarch. One of his best possible openings.
And Ricky here, Island Go.
What is that, signed foil unhinged? I believe that's John Avon too.
I cannot tell. Another land from Brad Baciak, I will say.
I'm going to say Baciak.
Baciak. I like that. Baciak. I like that. Brad Baciak. I have to say, that is one Bella Island over there. Jeez, look at that. It is really pretty. It's kind of place you kind of want to just, I don't know, take a vacation, hang out there.
I'm mesmerized by it.
Right?
Alright, so Brad's cracked 2 fetch lands. That's going to be really good if he has a Knight of the Reliquary here.
I would be willing to bet there's about a 50% chance that he does. Oh, the coin flip works.
That is a fantastic opening. Wow. Oh, but Ricky's got the Force of Will. Some form of altered art Force of Will.
Foul, 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 foul. And the second land here, it's
he pitched to Jace the Mind Sculptor.
I think you're correct. Flooded Strand, picking up probably a Tundra. Oh, or just a basic Plains to avoid the Wasteland. Stoneforge Mystic. Mystic has a Batterskull and an Umezawa's Jite as the 2 possible targets.
Look at this. It's all foil. Possibly even a Japanese foil Batterskull. I was saying to someone today that this is one of the most pimped out Legacy tournaments I've seen. People here in Northern California really love their fancy foreign foils.
That's
I even saw a Russian foil Court of Calling in an Elves deck. That was spectacular. I believe that
Russian
was
cards are awesome.
One of the first editions that Russian was printed in.
And we see a Plains from Brad Baciak.
See, look at that. He's got a Guru Plains.
And is this going to be an attack for... No, it's not going to be an attack for 1, is it? Nope. No, cast a Noble Hierarch. And we're going to see some more mana. Kasali Pride Mage, alternate art, F&M. You can even see the F&M glittering off of it.
He could have attacked there, right? If he used his lands to cast.
He wanted to keep the mana open though, so that he'd be able to do something at any time if he had the urge.
Like a Swords to Plowshares.
Next though, he has 3 exalted creatures in play. His Kasali Pride Mage can attack for 5. In theory.
Yeah. Which is big enough to get past the Batterskull that we know is going to come down from the Stoneforge activation.
It's worth noting that Brad's Maverick deck not only includes Punishing Fire, but also includes Geist of Saint Traft. It's kind of an unusual choice.
That's very unusual.
We see a Umezawa's Jite.
Ooh, this is... Ricky Sidher needs to find... What, another Stoneforge to get his own Jite?
Since that Jite has resolved, I would say the answer is yes. He equips the Kasali Pride Mage. Looks like he's attacking.
3 exalted triggers. That's a 5/5 Pride Mage.
Oh, Swords to Plowshares. And it's going to be probably a 2/2 when that Swords hits it.
Alright, he says, in response to the exalted triggers, And that was a really crucial turn there, because now he's also gotten the Pride Mage off the board, so he can safely drop his Batterskull.
Absolutely. We're going to see this get a Tundra here. Possibly a Scrubland, but most likely a Tundra. Oh wait, he doesn't have a Scrubland, a Black Source yet. Probably a Scrubland. Oh, maybe he's got the black in hand.
Here comes the Batterskull. And real quick there, when he pulled the Batterskull out of his hand, I noticed he also has the Jite in hand.
Oh.
So this is going to be a really dominating position for Ricky Sidher.
How do you feel about living weapons? Oh, not a Tundra, a Underground Sea. Tax for 4. Makes it 5, actually.
Like as a mechanic?
Yeah, as a mechanic.
I think in general it's fine. Batterskull is just probably a little bit overpowered.
I think it's a pretty neat mechanic. Is that a Thoughtseize?
Foil Thoughtseize.
Shows a Wasteland in Brad Baciak's hand. I think what we're going to see is a... Wow, I'm actually surprised by that. I thought Ricky was just going to cast the Umezawa's Jite to kill
Unless
the other
I'm mistaken,
Jite.
I thought I saw it in his hand, but...
Now, Brad Baciak here can knock down some lands if he wants from Ricky, but I'm not sure how great that is for him right now. He doesn't have anything going, and the Batterskull is really a little bit better than what he has on the other side. So, for those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan, joined here in the booth by Ricky Hayashi. We are here at the Star City Games Live Open Series. It's the Day 2 Legacy, and it's the last round of the Swiss.
Yeah, here in Sacramento,
Wasteland.
California.
This is your
kind of my hometown.
Kinda?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually from Davis, which is like an unofficial suburb of Sacramento. It would have been absorbed as a suburb long ago if not for the floodplain in between.
Right. Wasteland from the hand that we knew about before from the Thoughtseize now dropped. I think that Brad is considering whether or not he wants to get rid of that Underground Sea. Stunting his own mana does not feel good, but conversely, that might be Ricky's only access to black. We see a Snapcaster Mage.
So he floated the mana from the Tundra.
And a Swords on the Umezawa's Jite carrying Noble Hierarch. This means that they're still currently in main phase 1.
Which is all... Yeah. I think he should have waited there until they were in combat.
Yeah, he probably should have wastelanded in combat.
I mean, it's possible he did wasteland in combat.
Maybe he did.
No, he cast another
and 2
knight.
mana, equip the knight with the Umezawa's Jite.
So we thought things were looking really good for Ricky, but Brad has recovered here with a very large Knight of the Reliquary. It's got, what, 1, 2,
Oh, it's not so large. It's only a little large.
It's at least a 5/5, right?
And Ricky has used up a valuable Swords to Plowshares. I'm not sure if he has any others. Untap. Oh, boy.
So there you go. Now the tide is turning.
Now, that Umezawa's Jite may look threatening, but Ricky Sidher can get rid of it at any moment by activating his Stoneforge Mystic. He has his own Umezawa's Jite, unbeknownst to Brad Baciak.
Yeah, it would be tempting to get in here and try to get some counters on his Jite, but I think he's better off using the Knight to build up his position.
Looks like he's attacking.
He's got 3, 4, 5, and he can use his Wasteland to get up to 6 or possibly 7.
One thing that Brad Baciak does not have is a main deck Mazavith, so he can't do the Brian Kowal special of sacrificing to get a Mazavith and then starting the attack after combat has resolved trick of returning the Knight to the untapped position. He could do that in game 2-3 if he wanted, though.
It's using the tricky interaction of the end of combat step with the Mazavith.
Yeah. not available this game, but he does attack straight up here. Ricky Sidher ends up removing the Umezawa's Jitte by dropping the Legend rule with the Stoneforge Mystic, and then during combat, the sacrifice of a Wasteland to kill the land of Ricky Sidher makes the Knight of Reliquary even bigger.
Right, so I believe it's currently a 7/7 with the Exalted trigger. So Ricky was unable to double block with Snapcaster and Batterskull to force a trade there.
Now this does mean that Ricky Sidher can swing back for 7.
And gain some very valuable life with the Batterskull.
After attacking, Ricky passes back. Brad untaps. Now, I think that maybe Brad might have learned his lesson there about that attack. I don't know how profitable it is to lose 7 life and then effectively only deal 3 damage to your opponent because of that Batterskull.
Right. But as you said, he does not have the Maze of Ith.
Well, what he can do is just sit back for a little while on this Knight of the Reliquary and try to get something going in terms of building up a graveyard such that his Knight is much bigger.
Thin out his deck a little. He can also go and search up his Grove of the Burn Willows if he's drawn Punishing Fire.
I mean, previously his attack with that Knight of the Reliquary was, I think, basically an attempt to make his Umezawa's Jitte do some good work.
Yeah.
We see a fetch with Windswept Heath. It gets a Taiga.
So he's getting his red source.
I always feel weird seeing a Taiga in play with no Curt Ape around. He has drawn the Punishing Fire, and now the slow grind of Punishing Fire is about to do its work. We're going to see...
Go. Activate the Knight of the Reliquary to get Grove of the Burn Willows and start the slow, as you said, grind here.
Wow, that cannot make Ricky Sidher happy.
Yeah, he might not have even known that Brad was on this plan. Might have thought it was a regular Maverick deck.
Once he saw the Taiga, there's a pretty good chance that he expects that that's a possibility.
Turn, when he saw the red, then it kind of clicked.
Yeah, this is the first moment that Ricky has had any active knowledge about what's happening right now. Returns the Punishing Fire. Has another mana on top of it for some reason. Never mind, he does not anymore.
I think he was thinking that he could cast it again with the red, but you need the red to return the Punishing Fire. And Brad does have a second Grove of the Burn Willows.
Oh, is that what that is? I couldn't tell.
I'm saying in his deck list.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That he could go search for.
I thought you were saying he drew it. I misunderstood.
No.
Okay.
Because he does need to fire that thing off twice.
And it looks to me as though Brad has decided to start attacking.
I mean, now the Knight is like 500, right? It's basically a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
I think it's 15-15, and that's a made-up number, by the way.
There's a lot of lands.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Ricky Sidher very wisely tosses away his Stoneforge Mystic, knowing that it's not long for this world anyway.
It's a 7/7 only.
Are we going to see another Knight?
Not
double Knight.
Double 7/7s.
And this summons a Force of Will.
8/8. Keeps growing bigger. I don't know.
Now, the game might have been in a much better state for Brad if he had cast that Knight of the Reliquary before entering combat. Now, once again, the Batterskull comes in, and this time I think he's chump blocking with the Noble Hierarch and then firing a burn spell at Ricky's head. I'm not sure. I think that was a chump block, though. And indeed it was.
Well, he reaches for it. They're probably making sure that the life totals are correct because there's some life gain going back and forth. But yeah, what you were saying was that Brad attacked first, then tried to cast a spell, which is normally the sequence you want to do. But in this case, you want to have one knight back as a blocker for that Batterskull, so Ricky doesn't get adventurous with it. And
Does
so
Ricky
casting it before combat?
Does Ricky like getting adventurous?
Well, this one does. More adventurous. Rilo Kiley album, one of my favorites to listen to right now.
Nice, nicely done. And we see a Kasali Pride Mage, which summons a spell snare.
He's been waiting for with that spell snare.
This time Brad does do the cast the spell before the attack.
So now it's just going to be, staring back and forth. Because Brad's only at 7. That's a dangerous life total. And Ricky has a Lingering Souls.
Oh, wow. That was actually really powerful right now. Brad can slowly shoot down the souls, but it does take effort.
And it takes turns, which gives Ricky more time to find something.
Okay, what Brad could do here is he could use the Grove of the Burnwells to return the Punishing Fire, use the Knight of the Reliquary to sacrifice one of his lands to get a red source that does not gain his opponent's life, like let's say a Taiga, and then immediately fire off a Punishing Fire on one of those spirits.
Looks like that's what he's going to do.
I hope so.
Sacrifice the Guru Plains. What are the other red sources? Just another Taiga and the Grove?
That is correct. 2 Groves, 2 Taigas, and then the fetch to get it. And he gets a fetch land, probably to fetch a Taiga.
Sure, there you go. Keep making it bigger, so if my count is correct, it should be a 10-10 now.
It's not so bad.
But yeah, that Lingering Soul is making 4 chump blockers. And unless Brad draws something else, every time the knight attacks, it frees up that Batterskull to get in.
Okay.
Punish a soul.
Was that a Kasali Pride Mage again?
I believe that was a Batterskull.
He does run 1 Batterskull. Brad Baciak does run 1 Batterskull in this list.
That's going to give him some... He's going to pause to think. He's probably...
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then...
Taps the knight. This is a very dangerous play, but he's going for it. Going to get some land. Probably not a fetch land, I wouldn't say. Oh, that was dangerous. Yeah. Now he's at 5. If I don't know if does Ricky have a hand?
No, he does not have a hand.
Oh, if Ricky doesn't have a hand, it's not as dangerous. But it does open up a moment where he can get a Vindicate and lose. Or
Vindicate, Swords to Plowshare.
Swords won't
he's
cause
going to gain
loss.
him life, yeah, so...
But it opens up a Jace. Oh, he's only got 3 mana in play, so...
Yeah, so there's not as many outs as you might think, but... He took a little bit of risk there that he didn't necessarily need to. By fetching and going to 5, which is exactly lethal if Ricky has an answer for the Batterskull.
Absolutely. I mean, he does not know what Ricky is playing.
Right.
Like, what if Ricky has 3 Vindicates in his deck?
Or Path to Exile.
Yeah, or Path, or any number of other cards. Dismember. In for 1.
Doesn't look like that's going to cost Brad here, but
I mean, that was an unnecessary risk. You could just get a land. You could just get that tropical island straight up.
Yeah.
And then also he gave Ricky more information. Ricky does not have these deck lists. He does not know that tropical island is even in the deck until now.
The blue source. Now he's going to be thinking about what
does that mean? Lingering Souls number 2 from the yard this time. I mean, that was just kind of a throwing out some candy to Ricky, and maybe it might help Ricky win this match.
Riptide Lab.
Brad Baciak untaps. If he gets a land, that would be amazing. He could equip that Batterskull to his Knight of the Reliquary and do some serious damage with it.
Then would it finally be 500-500?
I think it would still be something like 18-18.
Okay.
These are, of course, hyperbolic exaggerations, to be superfluous.
I don't know what those words mean.
Now, if I was Brad, I would just lay that land in my hand into play, equip the Batterskull to my Knight of the Reliquary, and swing on in.
Yeah, well, instead he's going to buy back Punishing Fire.
I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah, you think just equip, bash, gain a bunch of life, and be safe, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because if Ricky had any kind of answer right there, he would have just played it and won.
So the Batterskull Germ is coming in. The Germ does not tap, but it's attacking. And Ricky Sidher is just going to take that. He does not like that Brad is gaining 4 life from it.
No.
But he can just take it.
8 life is a lot better than 4 in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
Look at me, I sound like a football commentator.
Oh, you get the
scores more points is probably gonna win this game.
Yeah, you get the football across the line. That's a touchdown.
Yeah.
Brainstorm from Ricky Sidher. We see a Stoneforge Mystic. There are no more equipment for Ricky to fetch. Not game 1.
This is a very tense moment here. I think the whole match is hinging on this next sequence.
Ricky has so much life to play with here.
But he needs to put Brad away because Brad is just going to keep gaining advantage with the Punishing Fires and the Knight of the Reliquary. And eventually he's going to be able to finish it.
And here they come. A couple of spirits. I did not see any of the cards that Ricky might have gotten with the Brainstorm. I saw that he had a Stoneforge Mystic, but that's all I saw. In with 1 spirit. And Brad shoots it. And Ricky lays a Stoneforge Mystic. He's going to pick up his library and shuffle. There's nothing to find there, but it does make that Brainstorm a little bit better.
Nothing to see here. Shuffle the library.
Remember, Brad Baciak has a tropical island in hand.
The Stoneforge is not completely worthless in this board state, though, because one more land and Ricky Sidher can start returning the Batterskull and putting it back down with Stoneforge. So he could theoretically just choose to trade Germs off at this point.
Or he could put the Batterskull on a Flying Spirit.
Certainly could with that 5th mana.
Now, on the other hand, Brad is able to stop that from happening with Wasteland. He can find a Wasteland at will and shut down a little bit of the mana that Ricky's running.
The thing with equipping a spirit with Batterskull is, though, Brad is buying back the Punishing Fire, so you have to find that window where he doesn't have that option available.
Absolutely.
Knight of the Reliquary searching for something.
He gets a Misty Rainforest, fetches immediately.
He keeps fetching. So greedy. I guess at this
I don't
point
mind. I don't
he's
mind
gonna
this,
attack again.
I don't mind him fetching this moment.
Yeah.
It was the previous one that I didn't
going
care
down,
for.
Going down to 5.
Going down to 4.
With 5
yeah.
power
Going
on
down
the
to
board.
5 with 5 power on the board was pretty scary.
But here he goes down to 7, and in theory will gain 4 or possibly more. Adrian, you really want him to just equip that knight up.
I do right now.
Bash
I
him
think
in.
that's actually, that threatens death. And yes, it will just eat a spirit. But what it means is that Brad will suddenly be completely out of danger and have an untapped knight.
Yeah. The vigilance on the knight is very relevant.
I wonder if he's not thinking about the vigilance. Oh, Mom. That is exciting.
That Mother of Rune's just gonna mess up with all kinds of combat math.
One thing about Mom, she doesn't want you to hang out with certain people, you won't.
And she doesn't want you to get sick. Stopping that germ token, stopping the life gain on Batterskull.
It looks like Brad is just going to tap out right now. He kills the Stoneforge Mystic. I think Stoneforge Mystic is a shaman.
Did he just say...
It's an artificer.
He just said go without attacking right there. So he continues
Ponder.
to sit... Brad continues to sit on 8 life. Ponder, ponder, ponder for Ricky Sidher. He chooses to leave them on top. Draws. What did he draw? What does he need to draw? Every turn that goes by here, Ricky Sidher.
What he really wants here is he really, really wants to get a removal spell for that Knight of the Reliquary. I was just going to see if there was a secluded step as a random one of for Brad Baciak. It would be very rare, but it happens sometimes. There is no secluded step, so the Knight can't protect itself in that way. In for 1. In for 2.
Gets in with both spare tokens. Takes Brad down to 6. And Ricky just pondered this turn and left the 3 cards on top. Drew one of them, so it's something good. Puts his lands together.
Swords to Plowshares. This is one of the cards he was looking for on that Knight of the Reliquary. The Knight is probably going to, on its way out, get rid of one last land and just pump itself up a little bit more before she's gone.
But there you go. That was a key play to get rid of that Knight before Mother of Runes becomes active. Otherwise, the Swords to Plowshares could have just been dead.
We see a second Grove of the Burn Willows fetched out.
That's right, because Brad is playing the Punishing Fire 4-color version of Maverick. He's got one of those Punishing Fires in his graveyard right now, chilling out. He's been chipping away at Ricky Sidher's creatures.
Okay, careful here. Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know that there's probably nothing that affects Graveyard Order, but Graveyard Order is still relevant in Legacy. Yes, I'm maybe being a stickler, but you're not supposed to do what just happened.
That's true. Technically, because the format does contain cards like Ashen Ghoul that depend on the order of the graveyard, you're not supposed to change the order of your graveyard.
Kurt Hahn is rolling over on his couch. Yeah. Okay, back up to 20.
Yeah. Godzilla-sized Knight of the Reliquary got hit with the swords.
I know I'm being a stickler, but if it were me, there'd be no way I would let my opponent do that.
I would be okay with it.
Oh, no way. The rules is the rules, my friend.
If you know absolutely that it's not relevant.
The rules is the rules.
Who's the judge here in this booth?
Hey, I used to be a judge.
I used to be a judge, and then I took an arrow to the knee.
It was when I had to DQ the little kid that I gave it up.
Oh,
That's actually a true story.
And by little kid, you mean that person's probably like 20 years old now.
They probably are. He cried, though. And we see a Green Sun Zenith. With where Ricky is tapped out, this is almost certainly going to get a Kasali Pride Mage, which is going to get rid of that Batterskull. Oh, did he miss it the first pass through? There are two Kasali Pride Mages.
He's only used one.
He's looking. Do we have an illegal deck right now?
Where are you, little buddy?
Was that it right there?
There's a Teague.
Okay, let's look again. Where's that Kasali Pride Mage? I know I run 2 of them.
Did we miss the Pride Mage?
I don't think so. Maybe it got countered and then another one got used.
I think it's possible that one might have been countered. A Knight of the Reliquary has been Force of Willed, and there was another Force of Will. So...
Interesting. We'll see.
But Brad searches up Scavenging Ooze instead. Looks like he gave the Germ protection from black with Mother of Runes so that it would get past the opposing Germ. So the life totals will change around with lifelink here. Brad's taking a quick look through Ricky's sideboard. Oh, no, sorry, not sideboard, graveyard. And ships the turn. Ricky looks like he's going to attack with both spirits again, but that is a lot less damage. Also with the Batterskull. But Brad's up to 24, so that's just not going to do as much damage as it used to, relatively speaking.
The life gain on the Ooze is really a surprisingly relevant element to it. The growing on the Ooze also, good in a big way. A lot of decks have stopped running Tarmogoyf simply because the Ooze exists.
Yeah, the Scavenging Ooze is the most impactful card from the Commander sets, would you say?
I think definitely. I think it's definitely the most impacting.
In constructed. Constructed formats.
And the other thing about it, I think Flusterstorm might be number 2.
Yeah, Flusterstorm was good enough that they made it a Judge Foil. The second Judge Foil was previewed recently. The second Commander Judge Foil is going to be Command Tower, and Sneak Attack will be coming to judges near you in the near future. Alright, so we've gotten an update from the judge on the scene, and indeed one of the Pride Mages was countered by a the other was Swords to Plowshare earlier.
Okay.
When Brad was tapped out. So
okay, there we go. Just wanted to make sure that we have that accurate. It's maybe a little bit of a nanny-ish thing, but one of the things you have to do is you have to present your Game 1 deck the way you registered it. So, and in this case, Brad did.
Well, and the way he was searching made it seem like Brad thought he had another Pride Mage.
I mean,
he was like, he looked through twice.
I've done this many times, twice, where I've been like, hey, Judge, I did not unsideboard, or I did not have a legal deck, or I did not, there's a card that's supposed to be here and it's not here, and I need you to know. And I know what's going to happen. I know I'm going to almost certainly get a game loss. But that's what you have to do. That's the thing that you have to do. Otherwise, you're cheating. And in this case, here we were just making sure, and it's all good. So Brad Baciak, totally on the up and up here with this. So.
And the action is paused here. I think they're just double confirming with the table judge that was the situation, because we had sent word out to check in on that.
Yeah, we're just making sure that's correct. So yeah, one of the things to remember is that you are obliged by the way that the rules work to make sure you maintain the game state.
Absolutely.
And you are also obliged by the way the rules work to, if you determine that you have done something that is illegal or wrong, to let people know. You can't just quietly be like, I hope no one notices. I mean, you can do that, but that is cheating.
Yeah, that's cheating.
Yeah, and things appear to be all good.
All right, well.
But So for
Everything's
those of you,
okay.
Everything's okay. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan. We'll go back to that match as soon as the cameras are ready. And I'm here with Ricky Hayashi. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of round 7, the final round of the Swiss for the Star City Games Legacy Open Series. There are 8 players that are going to be going on to our top portions of this tournament, playing for money. It's going to be going up incrementally to our first prize, who will be our Star City Games Live Sacramento Legacy Champion. Our first time in Sacramento, I believe.
That's true. I can give you the history of Star City Games Opens in California. They were in Los Angeles the first time.
Yep.
God, that was, what, 2 years ago now?
I remember that.
And then last year, we came back to Los Angeles, and we also came to Northern California. We were in San Jose.
How was San Jose? I've never been there.
San Jose is fantastic.
Awesome.
It's basically just a little bit south of San Francisco.
Right.
It's much more of the technical, all of the computer companies are out there, and it's really a growing community.
Cool.
In a few years, I think San Jose is going to eclipse San Francisco as kind of the hub of Northern California because, the sports teams...
I thought you were talking about Magic. I was like...
Well,
wow, because I was like, I didn't realize San Jose had such a good Magic community.
There's a good community out there. Actually, San Francisco, I don't believe that there is really much of a Magic community in San Francisco proper.
Really?
On the Bay, because it's San Francisco. Why would you want to play Magic?
It's just too beautiful? Is that what it is?
So many other things to do. It's the...
Oh, that's funny.
All right, we're going back to the action here. Enough about my old home state.
I was going to say, Brian Schneider's out in San Francisco. So is old school Magic player Jordy Tate. And
I thought Jordy Tate was Canadian.
Yeah, but he's living in San Francisco now.
Okay.
Josh Tabach from Madison, Wisconsin, and a draft open winner is now out there.
I don't know where you come up with all this information.
The power of the internets.
Some stuff going on here. The Scavenging Ooze, I believe, just got...
I think it got plowed. I think Snapcaster got plowed.
Yeah, so the life totals...
Let's
even higher for Brad. Do you remember when Brad was at 5 life?
I do. Now let's revisit where this game state is at. We've got a taiga, 2 Grove of the Burnwillows, a tropical island, and a savanna for mana for Brad, along with a Mother of Runes and a Batterskull with the Germ. On the other side of the table, Plains, Riptide Laboratory, Island, Underground Sea, and a Batterskull with a Snapcaster and 2 Spirits.
So right here, both players have some lands that are very, very important. Brad's got those Grove of the Burnwillows, which are buying back Punishing Fire, and Ricky Sidher with the Riptide Laboratory.
Oh, Green Sun Zenith for a game-breaking Knight of the Reliquary if this resolves.
As I was saying, the Riptide Lab with the Snapcaster can get him a lot of card advantage, but...
And look at that.
Getting the Knight.
Yeah, and who's there hanging out to make sure that that your Knight of the Reliquary is safe? It's Mom.
It's Mom. Yeah, because that Knight, once it goes active, is going to give Brad access to Wasteland to take out the lab.
Now, if Brad gets a second Mom, then he's super safe.
2 moms?
Yeah, 2 moms, not just for Heather.
Better than 1.
That's right. We're close enough to San Francisco for that to work out. On tap from Ricky Sidher.
Okay, see, that looks like a Japanese foil Snapcaster mage.
I need to see the text closer to make sure if it's Japanese or not, but are other Asian languages currently in print, or is it just Japanese?
Sure, there's Chinese.
Chinese is still in print.
I believe standard and traditional. Korean now.
Is Korean back in print? Because I knew it was out of print for a little bit.
Oh, yeah, Korean's back. It's very popular.
Korean is my favorite written language in the world. It's so cool.
That hurts me a little.
I'm sorry, man.
I like it too. It's just, I can't read it, so I like the Japanese better because I can read it.
I can't actually read Korean, but I can speak written Korean.
Really? We'll have to put that to the test later. There you go. Riptide Lab returns Snapcaster Mage to Ricky's hand.
It's like that I can speak Italian. I don't know what I'm saying, but I can speak it.
Can you speak Italian like Brad Pitt speaks Italian in Inglourious Bastards? Buongiorno.
Pretty much. It's about where it's at. Brad Baciak. Now, he's got a real opportunity here with between the Punishing Fire and the Mother of Runes to kill Ricky with one single hit.
All kinds of things can happen. He's got the access to the Wasteland, like we said, with the Knight. He can just start punishing those tokens.
Is that a second mom? I think that's a second mom. Didn't we just talk about this?
We did just talk about this. But I think he's going to go with the Punishing Fire.
Oh, man, you can still go with mom, though. 2 moms. Who can stop 2 moms?
Get rid of one token, buy it back, get rid of the other token, and then just attack with his large creatures. I mean, Ricky's at 16. That Knight could be
okay,
ginormous.
And now he's going all in. If Ricky Sidher has another Swords to Plowshares, he's going to be really punishing Brad for this play, if Brad goes for it. Brad's just gonna attack. Just attack, and okay. That's fine. That's much safer.
Yeah, that's much safer.
I thought he was gonna go all in.
But of course, being at 31 life is pretty safe too.
True. But I mean, the game could go away from him at that point. It's possible. Just attacks.
Trying to trade germs.
Germ for germ? How do you feel about it?
Brad says, no thanks, I'll keep mine.
Wow.
Protection from black.
Wow. Let's see if it's going to matter that Brad is vulnerable. This is an opportunity, but opportunities don't always come to fruition.
Gonna be a lot of opportunities here though, because he's got the Snapcaster Mage in his hand. He can flashback, ponder, brainstorm, something of that variety.
If there's a Swords to Plowshares in Ricky's yard still, he might have already used them all, because he has swords more often than we might have been able to expect.
Snapcaster Mage.
Snappy.
Targeting.
Brainstorm. Looking for something to do. 2 swords would be awesome. And he does not find it. Ricky packs it up.
Oof, wow.
That was... We are almost out of time in the round.
Well, that's the official round clock you're looking at.
I understand, but like that means that even if they've got a few extra minutes, and they do have extra minutes for a pause that happened earlier probably, that... It's very unlikely for Ricky Sidher to get a draw that will allow him to kill Brad in enough time for there to be a 1-1. I think this is going to be a 1-0 victory.
Depends on how much of a time extension they have, because they were moved over to be our video feature match.
That's fair. If he's got a good 10 minutes, I think Ricky can win in 10 minutes.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah,
you gotta draw like Stoneforge Mystic on turn 2. And then get your Batterskull and just start battering away. Let's take a look at the sideboards here.
Absolutely.
That is the end of time.
Now, as we said, they do have a little bit of extra time, so while you can hear the head judge announcing that that's time, they are not yet at time within the match we have on camera. So to the sideboards. Things that we're going to see, I think we're going to see Bajukabog come in for Brad Baciak as a really useful answer to the Snapcaster card advantage. And I also think we're going to see... And the Lingering Souls. And I think we're also going to see Crucible of Worlds. This is a very grindy match, and one of the things that can happen is that card advantage a Crucible affords, very powerful.
Right, just buying back Wastelands and keeping Ricky off of mana.
I think we'll also see Sylvan Library, just because this is a grindy match, and once again, that card advantage and card selection that a Sylvan Library affords going to be very effective.
So Brad's got a very interesting sideboard. It's all one-ofs, except for a 2-pack of Enlightened Tutors and 2 Tormont Scripts.
Right.
And those are kind of meant to be a package with things like, he's got a 1 of Ethersworn Canonist, 1 of Wheel of Sun and Moon, 1 of Worship. So he can bring in an Enlightened Tutor package for certain matchups to block them out with these cards that might surprise people. Like Worship can just beat a deck sometimes, or Ethersworn Canonist can beat like an Ad Nauseam Tendrils deck.
The thing about his one-ofs, every single one of his one-ofs is a card that he can fetch in some way with his deck.
Yeah.
He's got the Knight of the Reliquary to fetch the land. He's got Enlightened Tutor in his sideboard to fetch the artifacts and enchantments. And creatures that he has here in his sideboard can be fetched with the Green Sun Zenith. So those one-ofs are kind of deceptive.
On the other side of the table, Ricky's sideboard, he's got 2 Parishes. Certainly going to bring those in. He's got a second Umezaz Jite, Linvala, Keeper of Silence. That seems like it could be a decent one.
Linvala is an incredible card against Maverick, just in general. If you look at Maverick, there are very few cards in Maverick that aren't in the deck for their activated abilities.
And that shuts off Knight of the Reliquary, shuts off Mother of Runes, Pride Mage, Scavenging Ooze, Stoneforge. Yeah, that's a great card. We also see Dark Blast. Could be useful, but I think some of these creatures are going to get too big for that.
I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Perish come in, we're going to see Umezawa's Jite come in, Linvala is going to come in, Dark Blast is going to come in, and then we have to ask ourselves a question about Punishing Fire. How do we want to respond to Punishing Fire? And I think what's going to happen is he's going to be required to bring in some number of surgical extractions to keep a Punishing Fire under control. The question is how many? And he might even bring in Engineered Explosives just as a means to wipe up the board a little bit. And what I think he's going to take out, I think he's going to take out Force of Will, because Force of Will is, the card disadvantage is too real. And I'm not sure what else comes out. I have not played this matchup enough to have a sense of it.
So Brad starts off again with the perfect 1-drop, Noble Hierarch. Ricky answers with a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. That's what he needed as well, to get into this game quickly and try to win.
There's the Batterskull. Ricky right now, essentially in a position where what he's trying to do is trying to just get a very fast game win here from this. Okay.
Brad, turn 2. He's got the Punishing Fire, takes out the Stoneforge Mystic, so that's going to slow down Ricky's ability to sneak a Batterskull out. But Ricky's got another Batterskull, so this one's going to go get the Jite.
Says go. Enlightened Tutor. This could perhaps get a Stony Silence.
I'm sorry, I just enjoyed you saying Stony Silence for some reason.
Other possibilities for what he could get with this. Sort of something. Umezawa's Jite of his own.
He's probably better off getting the Stony Silence than the Jite to shut off both
Batterskull can still attack. The token that it's on, the germ can still attack.
But once you trade with that, like the Jite is not going to help you deal with the Batterskull.
Okay, Jite for Jite. But Stony Silence doesn't help you deal with the Batterskull really either. So
he might not have even brought in the Stony Silence.
This
Although
is true.
I wish he would have. Because that'll mean at some point later, Adrian Sullivan will say Stony Silence again.
I will refuse.
Oh. You will be silent.
To dash your hopes. Dash Hopes, really fun card.
So both players with equipment in hand.
Brad Baciak fetching with a Windswept Heath.
Does Brad need to defensively play the Jite here? Because if Ricky goes 4th land, play, equip, attack, that's really bad for Brad.
Jite?
Yeah, there it is.
E2 Jite?
Oh, he's gonna equip. I see what you did there. I know my history / Shakespeare.
We see a brainstorm in Ricky Sidher's hand. He lays an underground sea.
Cracks the polluted delta. Gets a tundra. Now does Ricky play his Jite here, or does he wait? He can just wait and use the Stoneforge at any point.
I think,
No, he's
yeah,
just
he's
gonna
just going to cast it. And a pass. He's got Batterskull in hand. He can drop that down whenever he'd like.
That's true. That lets him. That lets him use the Stoneforge for Batterskull.
It's just there, waiting, lurking. A fourth land from Brad Baciak. I think I see a Swords to Plowshares.
Ooh, knight. Oh, sword.
Sword of Fire, nice.
So fine.
Oh my goodness, an earthquake. Oh, just a tremor, just a tremor. Down comes the Batterskull. The 0/0 immediately 4/4'd up by the Batterskull. Brainstorm main phase, the best time to cast Brainstorm on average.
Really?
Yes.
There's been scientific studies to this effect.
I would say studies by hardcore Legacy players. I didn't believe it at first until they convinced me.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. It's an instant, but you want to cast it on your turn.
Oftentimes. Most often.
Most times.
Most often. We see I'm guessing it's going to be a Swords to Plowshares on, it's a good question. Yeah, it's going to be on the germ, okay. Which Ricky is going to say okay to. Seems like a very aggressive Swords to Plowshares there. I don't know that he needed to do that just then. Take one, says Ricky. To be fair, if Brad is working with the clock.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
The Vindicates.
If Brad is working with the clock here, he might just be trying to make sure his life total is high enough that it's not possible for Ricky to kill him in time.
I think he was also, though, expecting to equip the sword and then be able to shock the Stoneforge Mystic. But Ricky had other plans. He had the Vindicate, took out the Sword of Fire and Ice.
Well, but he could do that more slowly if he was not concerned about time. Oh, Scavenging Ooze. Spell Snare? Spell Snare. And a land remains. Brad attacks for 1.
Another
Stoneforge Mystic. It's possible that another Umezawa's Jite was sideboarded in. It's a good card. Second Jite? I would be unsurprised to find a second Jite.
Certainly in any matchup where you expect the first one to get legend ruled away.
That's right.
Now the question is, does he have another land? Because that would be extra backbreaking.
And he says go.
I think Ricky might have the tools to take this second game.
I don't think he has the time. That land that Brad played was the one he held in his hand last turn.
He cracks his Misty Rainforest to... What is he going to cast here that he needs all that mana?
They are now on extra turns.
Okay. So it looked like it was about a 10-minute time extension. We're in extra turns now. Now, you're probably right. Ricky does not have enough time here.
Ricky looks really unhappy.
That's just the way he always is.
Is it?
Yeah, he's...
Oh, Knight of the Reliquary. But Brad, look at Brad's look. You got anything?
They both look kind of
See, Brad doesn't look upset. Brad just looks like, I know I got you. And Ricky looks more kind of frustrated and not happy. Ricky, I think, still contemplating any kind of response to the Knight of the Reliquary. 2 mana. Put a Jite in play. It's the end of the turn, Jite. A Perish in hand. Is that a Perish? I think that's a Perish.
White border black card. So Perish does seem likely.
He equips. He perishes. Oh boy. I don't know how many turns we're on right now.
Well, we got the notifications that they were in turns on Brad's last turn. So even if that was turn 0, Ricky at most here is going to get 3 attacks. This being the first one.
That is 2 damage this turn. He could potentially do 2, 4, 6, 10 next turn.
I mean, it could be enough, right? So if Brad has absolutely nothing here, he's got something. He's arranging his lands. He's got...
Oh, that's not actually that big of a deal.
No, it's not. That only takes away 1 damage. So what Ricky can do here is equip the Batterskull 4, 5, pump 6, 7, 8, 9.
Equip 5, 9, take 9, go to 6. Does Ricky have another attack phase or not? Two tokens go back on. He says go. I think that's turn 3, and I think this is turn 4.
So Brad is at 6 life. The Stoneforge Mystic has 5 natural power here, so Brad needs to find...
Oh, and he has nothing. So the question is, what turn are we on? Or they might be asking, hey man, I got you. And if I were Brad, I'd be like, well, you didn't get me in time. I'm not gonna offer a draw if I were Brad.
Yeah. Well, he passes.
Is this
Ricky's
turn
untapping.
5?
Ricky's untapping here. He's got another combat phase.
That is it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Now Ricky has to ask himself, does he want to have them both draw? Does he? This is the final turn, turn 5, and Ricky is basically like in the position where he can knock them both into draw.
Wow. What would you do in this situation if you were Ricky?
It depends on who the other person is and if I've got any other friends in contention and how I affect them by doing my play.
Well, he just took the counters off, so he's pumping, but it's a matter of, is he attacking?
I think
he throws the swords, flashes out there, so I think he's saying,
I think he is
you got
scooping.
it.
He is scooping.
Good luck in the top 8,
What
Brad.
he's doing here is he's showing Brad that Brad couldn't have drawn hardly anything. He's showing Brad, I had this game, and he's saying, good luck. Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't quite sure if Ricky had one more turn or not. It was kind of ambiguous.